is a way of reminding me to keep up, to keep track of the time. So let's take a look on some of the technique limitations, and I will come back now to the 7 magic that Sonia talked to you on Saturday, on Sunday. So the important thing, if you want to be a writer, to write anything from PhD thesis and scientific articles to love letters, okay, is try to have a protocol. And after you practice a lot, this protocol will be inside your mind, and you probably won't have to, stick to it again. What is the protocol? If it's a narrative, then they have all those steps that Sonia showed to you. The beginning, and then the lost, and then the conflicts, and then the conclusion, all the steps of the narrative. What we usually do in scientific writing is that we don't write narratives. We write dissertations. And what is the difference between these two models? So a narrative is usually a story that has a timeline. Okay, if you are a very good writer, you can invert the timeline and go back and come back, but it has a timeline. And it has also characters. And the characters are related to the story. So this is a narrative. What we do in science is that we write dissertations. And dissertations, they don't have a timeline. And they are a way of arguing, of convincing people, giving many opinions. And these many times can be very, very boring. Okay? So a way of writing better scientific materials that can grab people's attention is try to make it a story. Okay? So try to make it as much as possible a narrative. So we'll come back to the protocol in a few minutes, but those are some quotes from authors that show us what these people do to write good things. So the first thing is by Lobo Antunes. It's a Portuguese author. It's I once heard people saying that the Swedish Academy committed a Portuguese mistake, and it was a play of a game of words. No, because they say a Portuguese mistake could be a language mistake, but they said that they choose the wrong Portuguese for the Nobel Prize. Okay, so Saramago, no, is the Portuguese author that won the Nobel Prize, but many people think that Lobo Antunes should be the winner of the Nobel Prize. So I saw him 2 years ago in a literature fair in Brazil, and he was saying that writing is mainly rewriting. That's what Sonia told you, so don't worry about your first draft. You will have to write it many, many times. And you see many others, authors, they have the same opinion. Okay? This Horácio Flaco was a Greek philosopher, and he used to say that a writer has to work 10 hours a day, 2 hours writing and 8 hours correcting what he wrote. So it's really important, people. Why? Because if we come back to one of the first slides. So also Pirsig says, if you think about correct spelling, correct punctuation, correct grammar, hundreds of rules, okay, no one could remember the stuff that they are concentrating on what they are trying to write about. Okay? So this is very dangerous, because I was always told that when we want to write, we should have a dictionary by our side. So whenever we are in doubt of the meaning of a word, or if we need a word that is more precise to say what we want to say, we should look at the dictionary. If you do that, you never write. Okay? You must write. And then you go back to the dictionary to find the proper words when you are rewriting or correcting what you wrote. Otherwise, you say, oh, what was the word exactly? And then you go to the dictionary, and when you come back to your text, that idea is gone. Okay? So another important thing is that word is not a no man's land. Okay? This is a quote from Sonia. In Portuguese, she would say, it's not the casa da mãe Joana, which means this messy house. Okay? The meaning of this quote is that you cannot use one word to say something that is not said. Okay? Words have precise meaning. So you cannot say, for example, shallow to mean, imitation. Because shallow has one meaning and imitation has another meaning. And you cannot come to your teacher after you wrote something in a test answer and say, oh no, but what I meant with this word is that. No, you cannot do that. Okay? Words have precise meaning. And when you are rewriting, you have to pay attention to the meaning of the words. Okay? Even in order to communicate precisely your ideas. Okay? And the other important thing, and it was first said by Tolstoy, is that a book has to be efficient. Efficient in a way of communicating your message. And Lobo Antunes uses the example of many writers that likes to give, those little effects that could grab your attention. That if you use them too much, you are just showing off. Okay, so many writers, they use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 metaphors. Each one better than the previous. But they are just showing off. Okay, he could communicate his message with only the first metaphor. Okay? So technique must serve efficiency. You must have a very good technique to write. But it is in order to communicate properly your message, not to show off.